On August 27th, a Team Fortress 2 update was released that, among many other things, included a fix for a long-running exploit in the source engine. Source engine maps can have files packed inside of them. This is normally done so users don't have to download any custom content that comes with the map. But it can also be used to overwrite existing content within the game by saving the replacement files with the same name and in the same directory. The problem with using this method of replacing the files is that any files replaced are retained after a new map is loaded, allowing for custom content to bypass svpure 1. As much as modders hate svpure, it exists for a reason. It is totally possible to replace model textures with materials that can be seen through walls. Previously, hackers would load a map with these modified textures packed in, and then play on a normal svpure 1 server, with the retained models and textures. This was not detectable by VAC. On the flip side, I remember seeing some players were using this exploit to run custom mods and visual fixes on svpure 1 servers. I imagine they were in the minority, however. There are some more legitimate ways to use this feature. In my map PL Casserole, I used this file overwriting to replace the announcer's voice lines with files from the Half-Life Fox.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I also used it to replace the stock medic calls with the Team Fortress Classic calls. It seemed fitting.
Excuse me! I'm in need of medical attention! Medic! Medic! Excuse me! I'm in need of medical attention! Medic!
I haven't found out much about it, but it appears sound packing has already been fixed in its own way. From some testing, it seems that the sound has to play on the map, because any sounds that have been swapped but not used come out very slow and low-pitched on the next map. This does have some funny results, however. I tested this new fix by making 2 maps. In one I packed in a model with a new texture, a modified model, and a replacement texture for a map. I started out with svpure 0 to see what happens. I loaded the unpacked map first, and then the one with the packed assets, and noticed they were not loaded. However, when I restarted TF2, and I loaded in the version of the map with the write-over files first, then switched to the version without the files packed in, the files I packed in were retained. I loaded 2Fort to check both the prop texture and the player model, and both were retained. In the Groot Keep, it looks like the map texture stayed around. Curiously, in an earlier test, the texture reverted back to its original. I loaded the override map again as a test, and noticed the cow's texture has reverted, despite the fact it's packed within this map file, and I was still on svpure 0. Weird. As I kinda mentioned before, this new system seems to be quite inconsistent. The Groot Keep textures also reverted when I checked again. The player model stuck around, however. I restarted TF2 and set svpure to 1. Loading the map with the packed assets presented them even with svpure on, but loading the map without the assets crashed the game. I tried 2Fort and the cow has returned back to its natural state, and the Demoman's model is also back to normal. Same with the Groot texture. So at least svpure 1 is consistent in returning files back to normal. It's worth noting svpure -1 and svpure 2 also exists. But I don't think either of these options will make any difference. svpure -1 may allow for more consistent file retention, but you'll be hard pressed to find a server using it. So what can we learn from this? Well, not a lot. This feature is probably too inconsistent and buggy to be used for, say, custom bosses or HUD layouts. But at the very least, wall hackers have one less exploit to use. Also, if you want to make like a Groot Keep Tom Baker, you're better off just replacing the textures than packing and saving over all the existing ones. One day.